Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rockin' Beards podcast. It's your boy HSR, and here's the thing: I don't know if it's really a podcast if I'm by myself anymore, but for the next little bit, I'm gonna be running this one on my own due to scheduling issues, but that's okay. We'll still talk about the albums in the same format. By the way, if you want to skip this in the description, you'll see when it starts. But this is where we go through albums track by track. I'm going to give you my opinion on that. I'm going to tell you what I think. And just to let you know, I'm not a professional or anything. I'm just a dude who's listened to a lot of albums now, and I'm just going to keep listening to them. I'm letting you know what I like and don't like and why. I find that my new approach is to try to look for the best in things and, just try to enjoy the music as it comes. So this is a bit of a conversation. As you can see, I'm by myself here. So anything you guys can tell me that contributes to the conversation or can educate me or correct me or make it all better, that would be really cool. I would really appreciate that. Before we jump into it, I do want to give a little shout out to our patrons, Ismail Gadamsi, Linda Williams, and Super Old School in 1994. At the end of the video, I'll touch on that a little bit. And before getting into it, we're just going to do our favorite comment from last week's video. I'm going to keep saying our, it's habit, but it's, I guess, mine. This is from Muse, Black Holes and Revelations, which was like a month ago, the last time we put out one of these. I'm so sorry about that. But this is from Miralex67. He said, or she, great review. I enjoyed it. I would like you to review Origin of Symmetry. And so if y'all want to see that review happen, just let us know in the comments and let me know what you want to see me cover. New albums, old albums. The goal is to try to get at least one rock, metal, punk, something good in each week. On that note, there's no reason to dilly-dally any further. Let's introduce this week's album. I'll be talking about the Red Hot Chili Peppers' fucking incredible album, Californication. Now, I like to start this off by just giving some context to how I know the artist or how familiar I am with it, just because I think it's a relevant point for anyone to just, it's going to be a huge part of your opinion. So I actually purchased this disc once upon a time. Because when I was a kid, like 12, 13, Otherside was a single, Californication was a single, and it was my first introduction to this band, really, where these radio-heavy played singles, and I fell in love with the sound. And then throughout high school, they just kept putting out music, and I just kept liking their singles. So I finally got my hands on this album, and as a younger person, I didn't necessarily appreciate their sound as much as I do now. So I got to track 6, where all the hits are, all those good ones, Around the World, Scar Tissue, Otherside, Californication. Oh, there's no more hits. Turn the album off and go find something else. Unfortunately, that's what I did with it, a lot more than I played it through. So I'm actually not that familiar with the second half of this album. For a lot of it, it was stuff I'd heard, but I wasn't familiar with it. And yeah, so also, I once dabbled in playing bass guitar, and I did take the time to learn how to play Otherside and Californication, and there are definitely parts of those bass riffs that I could pick up and play at probably a slower tempo right now. I really just like their sound. I think Flea is fucking incredible. Anthony's got one of the most crazy cool voices, and the poetry is so interesting in my opinion. I don't know if that I've ever paid before, now, that much attention to the guitars and the drums before. But as I understand the context of this album in their career is Dave had quit earlier in the 90s because the fame, Dave being the guitarist, was not something he liked. And he quit, and then I think it's John Navarre or something. I'm just trying to dodge the last names here, but he joins. And then he quits, and then the band is about to break up, as I understand it. Things are not necessarily going well, and they decide that the only way that they're going to stay together is if they get John back. No, not John. Yeah, John back. So they fly out, and they find this disheveled John who is battling off his demons, and he's not really in the best place. And they're like, dude, you want to come back and play guitar? And so he does. And they get together, and they kind of end up working with Rick Rubin to produce this album, Californication. I love the title. I mean, the show's fantastic if you've watched it. I don't know if they jacked it from this or not. I probably should know that. But I love the title. It's just the idea of the combining California and fornication into words, because if you're not from California or you're like from somewhere like Montreal and you hear about that kind of stuff, California just looks like this place of like sin and fun and fake people and drugs and sex and all sorts of shit. And so I guess if you're out there, it's kind of weird, right? And so this is just kind of like the title just feels like, this album's going to be about these types of experiences, maybe just what his life's like out there or them. And I don't know, I've always loved it. And this cover is so fascinating because you got this like orangey, toxic-y looking pool next to like the ocean, and it's got like clouds and shit in it. And I don't know, I've never really inspected it before, but it's also really like the color contrast is one that even without looking at the details, it stands out really small. And I think it's a great cover. I think it really kind of shows like this essence of pure poison mixed with like the natural beauty surrounding it. Anyway, there's a bunch of tracks to still talk about, and we've barely gotten started here. So I'd like to just go with y'all, and I hope actually y'all are around the world. Yo, the funk is fucking real in this one. It's apparently like they're kind of famous and stuff, and Anthony's just expressing his love for how all around the world people give them love and stuff. And there's this fucking weird rhythm or something on the guitar, and it just like you have to really like focus on it against the bass and drums. But when you like really notice this like little odd rhythm that's going on with this guitar work, it like kind of comes off on this like syncopated awesomeness. I think it's syncopated, but it's really cool. And I wanted to point that out because normally Sid catches all this stuff and I'm bad at it. So I thought it was noteworthy. And it's really like just the way it starts with that like bow 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 bow, and just like fucking heavy. I think that's the bass kicking in real strong, and you just get engaged from like the very second this song starts. And then there's that like scream and he cries out, and it's like this is how you kind of start an album. You want to have this high energy experience. You want to get people like ready to move and groove and stuff, and the fucking funk is real on this. I don't know if I said that already. Lyrically, it's fine. I don't know how deep some songs, it's like super clear what he's trying to say. Some songs, it's not so clear. It's very obscure. And some songs, it's kind of really like all around the world. We could make time, romping and a stomping because I'm in my prime. Born in the North and sworn to entertain ya because I'm down for the state of Pennsylvania. I mean, there's not a lot really, in my opinion, here to dissect. He's just around the world. He's out there having a great time because he can. He's in the prime of his life. He's out there doing his stuff. Side note, in case I didn't mention it, I believe he's clean at this point, and they are all off drugs during this album process. But then right after that first bit of lyrics, we get the classic, I try not to whine, but I must warn you about the motherfucking girls from California. Alabama baby said hallelujah. Good girl, God girl, I wish I knew you. And it's just kind of shouting out different places and kind of experiences he's had roughly. Like, don't trust people in like California, the more homely people in the South. It's kind of nice. And he kind of wishes he had a more authentic realness to the people that he's encountering maybe. And then he just goes into that chorus. I know for sure that life is beautiful around the world. You say hello and then I say I do. And you just get the sense that he's like, everywhere he goes, he's like falling in love with people and having these grand old adventures. And it's a gay old time, as they say. And I don't know. There's not that like much else in terms of the verses that I thought that were like super amazing. It's just kind of a fun little time. But I did want to touch on, before moving on, the fact that he drops into some real scat mumbly kind of stuff. Like, as much as people want to criticize hip hop for doing some weird mumbly shit right now, Anthony here was going like, I know for sure, dang dang dong dang dong dang dong dang dong. And now don't get me wrong, I don't mean this in like an insulting way. I actually think it's really cool. Recently, I found myself fascinated by the scat style of singing, where the words aren't so important, and it's like kind of rhythmically expressing with your mouth. In a sense, Designer kind of does a lot of that shit in a weird, obtuse way. So it's just kind of made me really think about a bunch of stuff. So I really appreciated that. I have had the pleasure of listening to this album a lot more than I normally do for a review. So I don't know, it's cool. I gave this song a 4.5 on 5. I'm not the biggest person into funk, so stylistically, this is not my like go-to song, but it's definitely an amazing track, and I think that everybody comes in and kills it. And it's super fun, but it is a little bit vapid. I do like the very end when he's like, "Mother Russia, do not suffer. I thought you were bold enough. I've been around the world and I have seen your love." I know, and it's nice. It kind of seems like quasi-political, like he's alluding to something, but ultimately it doesn't say a whole lot to me. But I do enjoy it. So let's move on to the next one, Parallel Universe. I love this chorus. I'm gonna start there. Christ, I'm a sidewinder. I'm a California king, which are snakes. I didn't know they were snakes. I learned some shit. I had to Google a lot. I mean, I'm not going to go that deep into these lyrics, but I did have to Google quite a few things along the way to wrap my head around it because, like I said, there's not snake varieties around Montreal. I swear it's everywhere. It's everything. And I think what this song is trying to allude to, I get the feeling they were like staring up into like space and philosophizing or in the desert or some shit. And it's about like the connectivity of everything and, you know, just kind of trying to wrap their heads around their existence and everything going around. I know that's not the best explanation, but like deep inside a parallel universe, it's getting harder and harder to tell what came first. So I guess he's just considering that there's so many different options that it's hard to figure shit out. You know, underwater where thoughts can breathe easily, far away you were made in a sea just like me. I understand that his sobriety has a lot to do with meditating in the water. So I kind of look at that cleansing as, you know, as he's now inside of being sober, everything's a little bit harder to understand. Anyway, and he's kind of I get it. Maybe that's what parallel universe is. I think it just clicked. But so he's now in this new universe where he has to deal with life differently. And then the snake lines, the chorus kicks in, and it's got cool language, like staring straight up in the sky. Oh my, a solar system that fits in your eye, microcosm. You could die, but you're never dead. Spiderweb. Take a look in the stars. Your head feels a space kid. And I guess if you go from being a narcissistic, egotistical drug user type to a sober person on a path to redemption trying to figure some stuff out, you may come to this humbling realization of your insignificance in the grand scheme of things. And I feel like he's alluding to that type of sentiment in this verse. It's cool. Overall, this is my least favorite song, I think, on this whole album. I feel like the guitar or the it just doesn't do it for me. I enjoy the hook. The hook is slamming, but the verses are fine. I feel like it's a little bit out there. I like the bass and the drums, but everything just kind of feels so normal and calm and a little bit subdued compared to some of the other shit that we get on this album. And I don't know. It just didn't really hit me right. I've listened to it like 9, 10 times now, and it was like one of the only songs that like because the first time I listened a couple songs I didn't feel a certain way, then they grew on me. This one I feel exactly the same way, so I'm giving it a 3.75. I recognize it's good, but it's not for me, and I'm fine with that because the next one's a fucking banger. Let's talk about some scar tissue. So Scar Tissue is like timeless to me. It's one of those songs that's just like it's just excellence in music form. I first heard it when I was young and I was told this is amazing, and maybe it was just part of one of those metrics that I've compared other rock to because it's so interesting. Lyrically, I didn't realize it at the time, but he's kind of dealing with, again, being sober. It's a very prevalent theme on this album, as is probably a prevalent thing in his life. And there are scars and there are like consequences to that, like scar tissue that I wish you saw, sarcastic Mr. Know-It-All, close your eyes and I'll kiss you, because with the birds I'll share. So apparently this is about John Navarre, I can't say his name, sorry. And they were all like a really sarcastic band, and they were like known for their sarcasm and their such, and they all used to get high together, right? And then part of this consumption created a rift between John, causing him to end up leaving the band. I don't remember the exact circumstances. And part of this is the sarcastic Mr. Know-It-All. He's kind of like talking to this guy who's also sarcastic, like, you know, whatever. And then close your eyes and I'll kiss you. And if you click the Genius annotation, it's just this picture of Anthony and John kissing. And apparently this was something they would just do, and whatever. They were cool with it. So it's not like about a girl or anything. It's about him. And I didn't know that. And I was really like, damn, that's some fucking obscure but interesting stuff. Like, you really kind of need the history a little bit to understand what's going on. And I love this with the birds I'll share, this lonely view. And I guess if you're like thinking about time lost and consequences and the scars that come from battling with your addictions and the consequences of your actions, it is kind of like you're now sitting up there above everything else, just kind of watching from like a top-down perspective, you know? And then, I don't know, I always kind of like was blood loss in a bathroom stall, the Southern Girl with a scarlet draw. See, now I kind of can picture it's like as a needle. I always thought it was about a girl with goodbye to Ma and Pa and stuff. So like now I'm like understanding that like this was just him kind of writing about his experiences with heroin and whatnot. And it's got like this deeper level that I like. You got to keep in mind, like, I didn't listen to this for, like, the last 8 years or so, like, seriously. When I was young, I didn't really understand this shit. But, man, it's really, like, it's really amazing. And then the way that after, like, the music's kind of plays out for, like, 30 seconds, a minute, by just beautiful, like, explosion of emotion that the words itself can't even convey. I mean, this is just a magical fucking experience. I really, really, really enjoy this song. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 5. I think it's incredible. However, we need to talk about Otherside. It's fucking important. I'm on this quest in life to find what I'm calling like empirically perfect songs. Like songs that are just so flawless and so beautiful and so perfect for what they are that they're just perfect. Like a 5 doesn't even give it a credit. Like it's beyond that, you know? Otherside is on that list. Since I'm young, like 12, 13, this is one of my favorite songs. And I've only come to really, really like it more because I have dealt with a lot more darker things now. So when these lyrics come in and I just kind of both picture my experiences versus his experiences, it just adds this depth, you know? And it's just, I don't know, apparently it has to do with a tribute to the former guitarist Hillel Slovak, who died of a heroin overdose himself. I'm quoting this off of Genius here, but like, so it's kind of like he's like trying to communicate with him or something like that. I don't know if that's true. I just find it gorgeous. Like, how long will I slide? Separate my side. I don't believe it's bad. Slit my throat. It's all I ever. And if you've ever struggled with any kind of addiction, you understand that, like, that's it, man. You can see your life sliding. You can see all of these things falling apart and being broken and stuff. And at the end of the day, you don't think it's bad. You don't, you know, even as you proceed to do some fucking crap like slit your throat, which is fucked up. But everything about this man, from like the crazy ass bass line that just is so drastically different than like the main riff, because I learned to play this shit, and I know that when you play it without it, nobody can tell what the fuck it is, but it's so beautiful and it's so powerful underneath it. I learned what a slide, a hammer-on, and a pull-off was on this song. So I heard your voice through a photograph. I thought it up and brought up the past. Once you know you can never go back, I've got to take it on the other side. You know, and I guess he's reminiscing. He saw this last guy's picture or whatever, and, you know, started considering all the old ways and kind of now that he's sober and stuff and he knows better, you can't go back to that, you know, and he's gonna have to, I guess, see him on the other side when he dies. I don't really know what that line is. I've never really thought about it. I've always just kind of, I mean, there's not even a consistent theory online about it, but for me, it's just you're over. You can't cross back over onto that other side of where you've come from. You know, you got to take it and be on this place where you are. And if that person's there, that memory's there, it's like you can go there in your head, but you just, I don't know. I don't know how to fully describe how I feel, but this song literally can bring me to tears sometimes if I'm singing it like passionately and shit. So I'm like, my mission, I don't even sing, but I want to learn how to sing this song. But centuries are what it meant to me, a cemetery where I marry the sea, a stranger thing can never change my mind. I've got to take it on the other side. And apparently, yeah, that cemetery where I marry the sea, it's kind of like like a baptism kind of line there, where he meditates in the sea and it helps him find this cleanliness and find his sobriety and get back to where he's supposed to be. So I thought that it's amazing. And the way he sings it, it's just powerful and shit, you know? The way that bass is like doon 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 doon, how long, you know, and it kicks into the chorus again. And it's just awesome. You know, I got the second verse where it's kind of like him like chain smoking cigarettes with the methadone and you know, trying to like sober up while like the temptation of the drugs trying to pull him back in. She want to know, am I still her slut? Like, are you gonna come back in? Are you gonna do what I want you to do? You know, understanding his submission to this situation. Or that what I thought was crazy again when I was young, I never really considered it, but a scarlet starlet and she's in my bed. So you drown up some heroin, you know, blood gets into the needle and shit. Candidate for my soulmate bled, push the trigger and pull the thread. Oh, it's just like you can feel him losing himself into this as he's trying to battle this struggle to like not cross over into this place where it's there, but the allure, everything, all because he looked at a picture and it just brought up all this craving and desire and stuff. And then, you know, the bridge is just crazy. The way his voice kind of goes in when he's like, I'll tear it down, and then it's born again. And it's just like you can feel him almost coming to victory inside of himself and just like beating this shit. There's like triumph in it. And it's so powerful. It's like you don't have to give in and cross over, you know? Maybe I'm wrong, but this is how I understand it, or I feel when I listen to this. And then I like how at the very end he changes the word bad to sad, because so many people do find addiction and things sad. And I like the fact that it changes now that he's like calmer and stuff. It's not about being right or wrong or good or bad. It's not pathetic or sad to him. And that's fucking incredible. This song is like obviously a 5. Obviously, like it's just fucking incredible. I don't know how else to describe it. Everything about it's great. Like the little drum bridge in between the two parts of the second verse. Everything's fucking cool. Anyway, let's move on to Get On Top. Right on. This one is apparently inspired by a jam session after John had listened to some Public Enemy. I totally hear it. It's got aggression. It's got like pump up anthem, fuck the system type shit, some super funkiness going on, a couple main riffs that kind of like bring you in. I don't care about the lyrics. This is something that doesn't often happen to me. Normally I'm all about what the songs mean, but this was just it just feels a little bit like all over the place, like come get me, I bite but she bit me, gorilla, cuntilla, Sammy D and salmonella. It sounds good. Come with me because I'm an ass killer. You're an ill but I'm iller. You know, like it kind of sounds like a throwback to older rap. I'm like, it sounds like it's paying homage to the style and the sound of it, but it's not really saying a whole bunch. Like, I'ma linger on your block, give the finger to a cop, pick a lock before I knock and set you to get on top. So it just kind of sounds like he's wilding out, all sorts of crazy shits, blah, blah, blah. But I love when it flips in to like complications of a mastermind. I know I can't sing. Last temptation of my kind, extra planetary sign. When do we align? All in time, right on. And then like it's almost like the whole vibe of the song has switched for that part and changed into this whole ensnaring thing. And you just get the feeling that he's like this boss man, this rebel, this guy out there who's like playing the system and fucking winning and shit. And it's really, really, really cool. I don't have a lot to say. I think that Get On Top is one of those iconic things from this album that you're really going to get stuck with. I think the music is ridiculous. The bass is fucking next level. I'm a sucker for a great bass, and it just shines through here. Everything about this song flows beautifully. Like it feels like this great explosion of energy. Um, it just doesn't suck me in thematically or lyrically, but it's really fun to listen to. And in the right kind of vibe, I'd want to throw this on and go dance or just vibe out. I don't care what it's saying, and that's cool. So I gave this a 4.5 on 5 because everything but the content of what the song's about is fucking blows my mind. So that's pretty great. Anyway, the next one happens to be possibly my favorite music video of all time. Let's talk about Californication. I mean, this might be one of their biggest songs that I know of. I don't know that Otherside was quite as loved by other people the way I like it. But I mean, the music video is ridiculous. It kind of starts playing on the 3D animation that was like really prevalent in video games. So it's kind of like GoldenEye and stuff like that. And it cycles between the various characters as they go through this California landscape that's all digitally rendered. And then it flows into the band as they're playing in this weird setting. And that stuck with me for my entire life, practically. Well, most of my life. And it's my favorite music video, really. I think it's cool. I think it really fits the concept of the song. And there are little nods to the lyrics as it's playing through. Like, but either way, let's run through this because lyrically this is fucking interesting. Like, as far as California criticisms go and things like that, it is the title track of title tracks, in my opinion. Psychic spies from China try to steal your mind's elation. So this just plays into like paranoia, I guess, of the foreign powers and stuff, you know, trying to like come in over here and take from us and whatnot, but almost criticizing that it's a fabrication. I might be wrong, again, about all of this, but this is how I always understood it. And little girls from Sweden dream of silver screen quotation. Apparently there was a trend for like girls to like little blonde chicks and whatnot to like fly over here and become movie stars, and a whole bunch of famous people are from Sweden and whatnot. And if you want these kinds of dreams, it's Californication. So like if you have this vanity, this chase for this lust, this is the place to come, you know. And then it just kind of takes a step back. So instead of just the intent or the type of people that come, it flows into maybe where it is a little bit. So it's the edge of the world and all of Western civilization. And it's kind of true. I mean, Hawaii's there, I guess, but I mean, it's not really as significant as California. If you're from Hawaii, I apologize, but it's true. The sun may rise in the east, but at least it's settled in a final location. So really is the end. This is where the day ends for most people. Like nothing happens after California. So it starts somewhere else, but this is where it closes. And it's understood that Hollywood sells Californication. So Hollywood sells, and Hollywood's in California, obviously, so it sells this twisted reality of everything that we've come to consume, our culture. So, like, I have a theory that our millennials are so bad at condoms because Hollywood makes sex without condoms look so fun. Like, you never see anybody using a condom. Just like Hollywood made smoking cool, Hollywood made smoking not cool. It's powerful. It's interesting. Then you got that fucking bridge. In my opinion, iconic lyrics here. Like, pay your surgeon very well to break the spell of aging. That's fair. That's a lot of plastic surgery. It was extremely fashionable. It still kind of is. Celebrity skin, is this your chin or is that the war you're waging? So, you know, how many times you have to get that fake chin touched up, this, that. You know, everybody's trying to look young. Nobody wants to get older. Nobody wants to embrace where they're at. And then I love this. Firstborn, unicorn, hardcore, soft porn. I know what he said till I was older, but, like, it's just, like, the idea that I don't know how to actually articulate this. I don't 100% know what it means. I know that it's almost like you get the idea of this dream, this idea, this thing you fantasized about, this unicorn you've created, and just like you can't have hardcore soft porn, it kind of treats you like that. It's this oxymoronic idea. Like the idea of Californication is just not real. Like you go there and you get taken out and you believe it's going to be nice. They tell you it's going to be a certain thing, and then a whole other reality just takes place, all based off of playing on your things. And then the chorus or whatever, "Dream of Californication," just repeated, drilled in, because that's what people do. I mean, hell, I still kind of dream of that shit, because we're all almost, that's what you do. You grow up and want to get famous, want to go out there. At least some of us do. If I could have gone to California, I might have. I probably still could. I never even really thought about it that deeply. Anyway, and then, you know, the whole second or third, the second part verse is like, you know, "Marry me, girl, be my fairy to the world, be my very own constellation, a teenage bride with the baby inside, getting high on information, and buy me a star on the boulevard." It's Californication. So it's almost like, I get looking at how people are so shallow with their relationships, etc. It's a lot more about vanity. I believe that the teenage bride with the baby inside line is kind of focusing a little bit more on the obsession of teen moms and the way that like reality TV shows and whatnot we're kind of glorifying it and making it almost more popular, kind of cool, and everybody's watching this on TV, and then it's almost like, I don't know, everyone's knows everything because the internet's also taking off at this point, so getting high on information, and it's just like this, if you can get rich enough, you can get your Hollywood star, your star on the boulevard. It's just a gorgeous fucking thing. One of my favorite lines of all time, lyrically, is "Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement," you know? Because it is kind of where we're going, and all this imagination and all this science exploration, all these things that are potential, but really it's just a fabrication of Gene Roddenberry, you know, and things like that. Cobain, "Can you hear the spheres singing songs off station to station?" This is kind of like, I don't actually, hold on, let me read the annotation. So Kurt Cobain was the frontman of Nirvana who killed himself rather than deal with California, anyway, blah, blah, blah. Following Kurt's death, Nirvana's drummer Dave Grohl became the lead singer of Foo Fighters, a band named after the unexplained spheres of light, and now they're playing songs, so he's wondering if he can hear so he's wondering if he can hear that the legacy has kind of lived on, etc. I don't know, man. This song is fucking amazing. The third verse is pretty cool too. "Destruction leads to a very rough road, but it also breeds creation. An earthquake art to a girl's guitar, and there's another good vibrations. And tidal waves couldn't save the world from Californication." So everything's fucked up. But at the same time, with all this fucked upness and all the bad stuff and all the impending doom and destruction and all whatnot, this will, as a result, breed into something cooler and something more interesting and something worth having. So there's some good to be had in all of this. And again, it's like this twisted, dark, melancholy song, kind of just trying to bring attention to how fake everything is. I mean, it's a 5. It's got this crazy cool solo. Everybody learns to play the solo on guitar. I learned to play it on bass. It's a really great track. I don't know. I would recommend this as the go-to song off of this album for like pop appeal and all of that goodness. Anyway, I've rambled. Feel free to correct anything I fucked up, and if you have the best comment, I'll pin it. Anyway, let's talk about Easily. Let's get caught in the weeds. I feel like we went in a whole different direction here. We went from being like crazy deep and intricate and stuff to like this really simple, silly love song type thing. I mean, the verses don't have a lot going to them, really. Easily, let's get carried away. Easily, let's get married away. So I guess you just get caught up in the moment and let's be impulsive and let's do this. I don't fully understand the fucking bridge. It's just confusing. Shaolin shouted, a rose from his throat, everything must go. A licking stick is thicker when you break it to show everything must go. I don't get what the hell that means. It's a little bit obscure. It's a little bit out there. I guess it's some convoluted shit happening in his life. And then the story of a woman on the morning of a war. Remind me, if you will, exactly what we're fighting for. Calling for something in the air. Calling for I know you must be there. So now I understand that the relationship's kind of like fucked up and things are not going proper. So that's good to know. I understand that now. And this is a bit turbulent and it's just kind of vague. I don't like the verses. I don't like the riffs and stuff being used on the verses so much, but I do think the chorus is, again, a fucking banger. The bridge is okay. I feel like there's talent on this song, and it's really okay to listen to. I don't dislike it, per se. If it came on, I would let it play through. I wouldn't feel so inclined to skip it, but I would never seek this out. It feels a little more on the vapid, weird side. I do like how it ends with, I don't want to be your little research monkey boy. The creature that I am is going to destroy. Throw me to the wolves. There's order in the pack. Throw me into the sky because I know you're coming back. So, like, you get the sense of in this turbulence, he's trying to break free, be strong, do all the good stuff and whatnot. And it sounds really cool for a few of these parts, but then there's all the stuff in the middle. So I feel conflicted on this track. I recognize it's good, but it's not really my style. So I give it a 4.1 because it's a little bit better than all the other 4s I've given out, but it's not like something I really enjoyed too much. You know, I'm gonna wrap. But let's talk about Porcelain. Let's just move on. To share with your child, drifting and flow. This song is like hauntingly beautiful. It's really calm. It's real simple. He has like this high pitched, eerie voice to it, but it like fits. So this is a quote from him. I'd met a young mother at a meeting. She was living in the YWCA with her baby girl, trying to get sober but failing miserably. The beauty and sadness and tragedy and glory all wrapped into one of this mother-daughter relationship was evoked by the vibe of that music. And I think that's a helpful quote for me to understand what this is about. Because, you know, he's looking at this really white young mother, porcelain, her skin, soft, I guess. You know, something he's just noticing. Are you wasting away in your skin? Are you missing the love of your kin, drifting and floating away? So this mother, she's high and she's not able to be there for her daughter and she's not connected. He's kind of looking at her like questioning, you know, do you notice these things? Do you feel it? Do you miss it? You know? And meanwhile, the music is kind of sad. Like you really feel his sorrow for her and everything about that. It's not like a pity. It's a genuine like empathy and like an understanding for it. I mean, it just kind of flows on through. It's slowish. I kind of add some more harmonic vocals to it, you know, as it builds up. It's not like a boring song by any means. It's just really simple. A little bit of repetition. Each little part starts with the porcelain, and then I don't know. I don't have a lot more to add to this one. I think it's a really chilling song, and I can understand how, depending on who you are, there might be a lot to relate to in this. And I kind of like how open and honest he is with his emotions and how easy it is to connect to the different songs on this project. So I gave this a 4.25 because I actually did really enjoy this, but it's definitely, I don't know when I would want to listen to this, but I guess if I ever put this album on and just bump it, I guess. Anyway, I like it. It's cool. This is definitely a different side of them, and I think that's to their benefit that there are so many sides on this album, whereas it gives a lot of different people an opportunity to find something to enjoy rather than being one consistent sound, and they're pulling it off pretty fucking well. So on the next one, we learn that Summertime backwards is Emit Remmus. Apparently this one has to do with the fact that Anthony and Melanie C of the Spice Girls were buddies. That's Sporty Spice. Were buddies for a while, and then she like ghosted him. I don't know if anything happened or anything, but then he wrote this song. So, and it's a bit weird. So first of all, I fact checked some shit. The California animal is actually a bear. So that's the first line, and it's true. I thought that was a weird way to start it, but he does like California, and I guess he's trying to contrast that they're really different. I don't know. Angelino, the devil may care, summertime to talk and swear, later maybe we could share some air. So it's kind of painting out this little summer fling of hanging out, getting to know each other. It's the right time and space, blah, 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 all that good stuff. Anyway, I'll take you to the movies, blah, blah, blah. What could be wetter than an English girl and American man? So, you know, they're setting some context that this is their, you know, who it is, a little subtle, subliminal that we all figured out probably after the fact. London in the summertime, call me now, use the satellite. London in the summertime, cuss me out and it'll feel all right. That's the hook. And, like, it's cool. I guess you can tell now that things aren't so happy with these folk. You know, it fell apart. It was nice for that summer. And then, yeah, hesitate but don't refuse. The choice was yours, but you said choose. The look she used was sharp and green, stabbed that boy in all his heart. So he wanted to be friends with her still. He was still wanting to pursue this shit. But when she went back to London, she was like, well, you have to make a choice, even though she was making a choice for him. Fundamentally, their friendship has ended. I don't know. It doesn't really do a lot for me, but I also did learn that the California flower is a poppy child. And that is true too. That is exactly what the California flower is. It's fine. This is a boring song, in my opinion, but it's a well made boring song. Thematically, it does very little. Like, I don't care about their friendship. I feel like it's kind of all over the place lyrically. I don't think it has the power or the depth of some of the other ones. I think it's a 4 on 5. It's well made in the sense that everybody does their jobs, but I can't get into it. I don't find the vibe. But it's also not quite like Parallel Universe. It's better than that shit. Um, okay, so rather than ramble and ramble, the rest of this is gonna go on this quicker pace because you know how it is. I like dirt. That's what's up. I like dirt. I like dirt. I like dirt. This is about sex. He likes dirt. Dirt sex. It's a dirty song about sex. It's got a kind of upbeat little funkiness to it. It almost feels silly. It's fun. It's definitely meant to be a fun song, a little more casual than some of the other ones. Like we just had the girl jilted me and now we're having sex. So some come up and some come young. Get it? Live to love and give good tongue. Sit down, get down in the sun. Rocket to the woman is on the one. So the rocket's his dick. Give good tongue. He's eating some pussy, I guess. He's getting her excited and he's shoving that shit in and getting to work because he likes dirt. He likes it in dirty places. He doesn't care. He's going to do it wherever he's got to go do it. The earth's made of dirt and wood, and he'd be water if he could. Live in a dream in your stream. Live in a dream. So he wants to get her all wet and gushy, and get all up in that shit, and make it all wet and disgusting and nasty because the earth is dirty, so sex should be dirty, and that's what's up. It doesn't really have a lot more to it, and I don't think it needs it. I think it's the kind of song that you throw on, you listen to. It's a good little fun vibe. I could imagine at a show it's kind of fun to play. Like it's a good vibe changer. It does feel a little bit like filler. It doesn't feel like the most fulfilling song. I feel like we just got like the heavy hitters earlier on the album, and even something like Porcelain has this depth to it. But here it's just kind of silly. It's fun, but it's got a great vibe to it, so I gave it a 4.25. It is something I find enjoyable, and it is something I would listen to again. Let's move on to This Velvet Glove. Here we are. This is what I wanted. That deep shit, that real shit. I'm really feeling this one. It kind of comes in musically. It's got like more of a heavier rock tone, I would say. More of those deeper, prolonged notes as opposed to the ecstatic funkiness. But it has this sadness to it. From what I understand, it's about addiction and needing help to get clean and whatnot. And it's got this sense of like fear and like just like insecurity in it, almost like close to my skin. I'm falling in. Someone who's been sitting by the phone. I'm left alone in another zone. Like you're trying to call your sponsor. You're trying to get some help because you're freaking out and you know you're in one of those bad places where bad things are going to happen. And, and then it moves on. John says to live above hell. My will as well. No one is waiting for me to fail. My will could sail. Yeah. So it's like he knows he's got that encouragement and people are saying we got to be strong. Got to stay there. Got to do it, John. Is also somebody who has to recover and who's on this journey with him. And he knows his will is strong now, but at the same time, your will can always just disappear on you, and you're always strong up until the moment that you're not, But what I really love is his reflection. It's such a waste to be wasted in the first place. I want to taste the taste of being face to face with common grace, to meditate on the warmest dream, and when I walk alone, I listen to our secret theme. So this is like this idea that getting fucked up and stuff isn't really worth it. Like, I kind of have this relationship with alcohol right now where I know that most of the times I've been drunk wasn't worth it. It was painful and it caused problems as opposed to being enjoyable. And on the other hand, when you've gone through maybe bad experiences with something, you instead, or if you are dealing with some kind of addiction, you instead want to understand grace and to escape some of those things that were holding you back in the past. And I really love how he worded that. And I really enjoy how this song kind of comes together and follows through on that theme. And like just that come closer so you can lie right by my side. Sit alone in the sun. I wrote a letter for you, getting over myself. And it's almost like he can't be with this person even though he wants to be, and he's calling out for the help, but he's still managing to beat the demons and do what he's got to do on his own. So it's got this like back and forth feel, like I need to be with you, but at the same time I can do this, but I'm just scared that I'm gonna fall. And I fucking love it. So I give it a 4.5 on 5. This is some really good shit. This is a nice one tucked away on the second half of this album that I'm really happy I ended up going back to. All right, let's move on and talk about Savior. I want to read this little note from Genius here to start this off because I think it's a little bit relevant. Kiedis' parents were separated, so he lived in the beginning of his life with his mother in Michigan, but moved to Hollywood, California, to live with his father, where he was 12 years old. His father was a drug dealer, and because of this, Kiedis was exposed to drugs and sex at a very young age, including him using heroin by the age of 14 and having sex with his father's girlfriend when he was 12. All of this is documented in his book that he wrote, Scar Tissue, where he tells us all about it. But this song is kind of about his dad and his feelings towards him. So I think it's a really important way to kind of start with that context, right? So dusting off your savior. Well, you were always my favorite, always my man, all in a hand. To celebrate you is greater than now that I can, always my man. So you got to imagine this guy's like his role model, his hero, hooking him up with all the good shit and stuff, like being that dude who got him high and got him laid and all this other shit. And now that he's like older, he's able to kind of celebrate him in this stronger place and getting over him. I feel like he must have a complicated relationship, and he's finally coming to terms with his dad and having some solace in it, Now you see what I came here. No one here is to blame, misunderstand, all in a hand, just like you, because what you made me, all that I am. So there's a sense that his father is responsible for part of who he is, but at the same time, he understands that his dad is just who he is, a basic person. They're very much of the same. So it's not about casting blame. It's about relating and understanding. And I really find that beautiful. I have a complicated relationship with my father, and I don't even know that could happen for me at this point. So it's kind of interesting to see in light of how complicated their shit was. And then it's really got like a weird chorus, a butterfly that flaps its wings, affecting almost everything. So I'm assuming that has to do with the butterfly effect. This one incident happens and it leads to almost everything else. So the more I hear the orchestra, the more I have something to bring. And now I see you in a beautiful and different light. He's just a man, and any damage done will be all right. Call out my name and I came. And it's like, he now, with his greater profound understanding of the universe and paying attention and getting over his issues and finding redemption and on his path to grace and all this other stuff, has essentially realized his dad is nothing more than a person. And so by putting him on that pedestal like he used to and having those emotions per se wasn't fair even. And that's cool. I really like that. It's super mature, and it's a really interesting subject matter for a song. I like the one, I would never betray you. Look at me, who could raise you? Face in the sand, safe in your hand. You were always my favorite, always my man. And it kind of ends with this like almost happiness or appreciation at the end of the day. And I think that's what's amazing about this song, is the level of appreciation that is expressed here. Because even though it's easy to turn on that person and use your anger and stuff, he's choosing like the higher ground, It's amazing. It's a 4.5 on 5. I really enjoy this one. It doesn't. The last couple, they're great. They don't have the same punch as like the bangers, but like they're very close to being the banger. Anyway, let's talk about a bit of a weird one here with Purple Stain. This song has a lot to do with pro-menstrual sex. Now, I support this message. I feel like growing up, we were all taught that menstrual blood is gross and icky, and we shouldn't fuck around with that shit. But as a result of that, for 25% of the month or so, you can't get laid, depending on her flow. And that's silly. So Anthony here has the solution. He points out that finger painting isn't a sin, So you got to go up with your fingers. And as he sloshes around up there, he's discovering the menstrual blood of this lady, and he says fuck it, he's gonna play with it and shit. And then I think Python power straight from Monty. It's like a matter of embracing the ludicrous, a matter of like accepting that this thing is probably not as bad as you thought it would be. Celluloid loves Tigata John Frusciante. Sorry, I said that wrong. Spread your head and spread the blanket. She's too free and I'm the patient. It's kind of just showing this expressive free love, having fun, not worrying about it. And then all the colors blending together in the chorus. Apparently, this is like a combination of the mascara mixed with the period blood, creating this purple stain, as they say. I don't know. It's a really interesting song. It's fun and it's funky, and I love the hook part. The knock on wood, we all stay good because we all live in Hollywood. It's just fun. It's got this great vibe to change it up and to make it interesting. It's a fun subject even, like he manages to take something so gross and make it silly and interesting, and I kind of dig it. I give this one a 4.5 on 5. From the first time I heard it, I thought it'd be a little bit weird, and then I was right, but that's not even a bad thing a little bit. Okay, so we are right on time. So this is another one of the heroine songs on the album. I like it a lot, first of all. It's another 4.5. This album has gotten real consistent now that it's picked up, and I've kind of gotten used to the sound, and because at first I wasn't so into it. And then 4 or 5 listens in, and all of a sudden I'm really hooked on this one in particular. It comes in and it's super funky and it's super aggressive. One shot, all I need. I've got rhythm when I bleed until death do his part, break my heart so I can start. So he wants the drugs, he's getting high, and it's kind of got this spastic feeling like he needs to have it. He needs a fix kind of thing to the music in the verses. And then I guess as he's kicking in, super calligraphilistic, kiss me in the futuristic twisted, but I must insist it's time to get on top of this. So I don't know if this is about him trying to stay sober or fight it or whatever, but then it almost feels like the drugs are kicking in right on time. And you feel like the music gets all peaceful and stuff. It's right on time, etc. And you get the sense that this is the fix is being hit and it's right on time. It's like the heroin is no longer something he's craving, and the music kind of gives that peace with it. And then it transitions back between these drastic verses. Discard to bombard, calling all the shooting stars. Holy cow, bow, wow, wow. Now I'm here and nowhere else. And maybe he's battling with this sense of how bad and drastic it makes him feel. Meanwhile, with the peace of everything that comes with it. Plain and simple pain, I want to, but I can't complain. Death row, let us go. It's time to blow up the show. All the world reverberated, coming from the motorcaded vibrate when we operated, turning up in solid stated. So here it's you have this sense that it's like you're gambling with death every time you're doing it, and he knows it, and he understands the battle that's coming on and the consequences of what he's doing, but he's still compelled to go through this ride and this rush, and it's inside of yourself this feeling is barricaded, and you're so stuck in the habit and the craving. And maybe again I'm misinterpreting this. I feel like this is not my best song on this album to talk about lyrically, but yeah, I enjoy listening to it still. I'm gonna cut this one now because I feel kind of like I went off on, I didn't say enough good here, so I'm gonna end it, but I give it a 4.5 on 5 like I started with. And there's one more on this album, and it's Road Tripping. Let us check our hits and let us check the surf. So apparently Anthony, John, and Flea went on a road trip. Nice, clean, and sober to enjoy their life and just catch some scenery and stuff. And there's no drums on it because the drummer apparently wasn't there. He wasn't part of this road trip. And yeah, it's just so peaceful and nice. After all of this struggle and darkness on this album, we get to this closer that it's just so serene. Road tripping with my 2 favorite allies, fully loaded, got snacks and supplies. It's time to leave this town. It's time to steal away. Let's go get lost anywhere in the USA. You just get to picture them just driving out on the coast, getting away. In the equivalent of now, it's you're turning off your phone. You're not even connecting and posting status updates and all that shit. You're just disconnecting and enjoying the nature, seeing the beautiful scenery. And if you look at the contrast of everything else we've experienced on this album with dark emotions, it's they have all these battles and these complications and emotional states and demons and even something like Right on Time, but it culminates to this happy moment where they finally get this peace that they've almost been looking for, and they're just able to go out there and just enjoy the beauty of their surroundings and to just be able to have fun together and almost connect and bond and whatnot. I love the idea. Blue You Sit is so pretty. West of the One, sparkle light with the yellow icing, just a mirror for the sun. You just picture them staring at the ocean, just watching the reflection of the sun, just seeing the beautiful shining and everything about it. And it just sounds amazing. It is just crazy that this is how they end the album. Like you don't expect it. You don't expect something so simple, so nice. And I love it. And I give it a 4.5 on 5. That's about it. I don't have a lot more to say about that song. For this project, I gave the album a 4.456. I feel like it starts off really strong with a couple of misses. Then there's a couple of ones in the middle I'm not so into, and then it just gets consistently 4.5 on 5 all the way throughout the end. I think Flea is my favorite bassist. He's amazing. He's quite incredible. He does not miss on this project. Some of the guitar work is not as interesting to me on some songs. Other songs is like next level. Anthony's pretty great for the most part. Some of the lyrics don't necessarily suck me in, but I feel like this is a great album to throw on for like background noise. I Like a Place. If you're not into hip hop and shit, it's a good album with some, for the most part, a cool vibe going on. But then there's just these songs here and there that would break up that vibe. I feel like you're going to find the 4 or 5 songs on this project you really like, that you really stick with, and those are the ones you're going to go back to. And then maybe a lot of the you're going to not like quite to the same degree. But it does show versatility in the band, and I really appreciate that. So yeah. Thank y'all for watching. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. So let me know in the comments, please, what you thought, what I got wrong, how I could do better, all that good stuff. Special thanks to the patrons, Ismail Gadamsi, Lindell Williams, and Super Old School 1994. They're pretty awesome. Because they're patrons, they get to like force my hand in reviews. And if you sign up, you get a free review. You also get content, like free review we do right away, and then ongoing reviews you get to throw in on. You get to see content early. Plus we get better shit here. You know, it would be nice. We can improve everything. That would be nice. Otherwise, if you want to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment though. That's what I care most about. I want to talk to y'all. I want to make this a community. And thanks. It means the world that you're here. Let me know what you want to see in the future. Have a great week. Peace.